Hi guys, welcome back to Toolin Around. Our next guest comes to us from the volunteer state of Tennessee. He's the main man from Fix This, Build That, and you can find him online at pretty much every social media outlet there is. And today you can find him about 3 feet to my right. We're pumped to welcome to the show Brad Rodriguez. Brad, thank you so much for being here. I'd love to get right into Fix This, Build That.
Absolutely. So fixthisbuildthat.com is my website. I host woodworking and DIY projects and plans, trying to really just inspire people to help them build something awesome.
Now, where did it evolve from?
So it's interesting, and it evolved from Instagram. So in 2013, I got on this thing called Instagram.
This little thing called Instagram.
Yeah, it was a little late to the party, but I got on there, made the account name, and I started sharing my woodworking projects. And what I found was I didn't have a lot of local people that did woodworking, so I found this community that I started putting it out there, and I started getting a good response, and people giving me feedback and criticism, constructive criticism, but just really this camaraderie that I had not seen before, and that's kind of what the genesis out of it. My wife said, you should turn this into a blog.
Mm-hmm. What I love about your blog, because I'm a big fan of yours, as you all know, is that you share things. You share your plans. You share them with this, online family that you found. So how does that go for you?
Yeah, it's a cool thing because that's how I learned a lot. In this day and age with YouTube and all the great content out there, there's tons of great makers who are sharing content, and some of it's paid, some of it's not paid. But what I wanted to do is make plans that were easily digestible but very detailed. So my plans are very detailed, and that somebody can print it out, take the plan, go shopping, get all the things they need, and build it all right there and feel really proud of something they did.
So how did you start in woodworking? What drove you to do it?
Yeah, so actually I started with rehabbing houses, but then about 15 years ago, I went and took a woodworking class, so an intro to woodworking class at a local woodworking store. And actually, this is the piece I made here. This is a serving tray I made. I brought along, so it's a little walnut.
It's beautiful.
Just with a little oak bottom there. And it was really cool because I got to learn how to use a router, the table saw for fine woodworking, and it really just sparked this drive and this passion that later I came back to. And it's been great ever since.
Well, and you can obviously see where your work is headed. So this is a much more recent piece of yours, a cutting board that you made. And this piece is absolutely beautiful. You obviously take it down to a very fine finish.
Absolutely.
Is this wax on top?
It is. So it's got a final wax finish on it. I wanted to bring the sideboard, but it wouldn't fit in my carry-on luggage. So I do a lot of home goods, and this is a great one. I really enjoy it.
So let me ask you a question. You talked a little bit about rehabbing homes. So how did that start for you?
Yeah, so I lived in Cincinnati for about 13 years there, and lots of old history, lots of old homes. The first home that I bought was in 1905.
Wow.
Okay, so as you can imagine, it's got a lot of great character in it, a lot of great woodwork in there. And that was one of the things that as I got into this house and we started rehabbing it, we started doing all the work to it, that I'm looking at the millwork, the baseboards, 6-inch baseboards, not the things just in the cookie cutter homes these days. And the fireplace we had is just quarter saw and white oak pillars, veneer. I mean, it was just beautiful. And that really also spurred me into the kind of the love of getting into a finer piece of woodwork than just kind of the basic construction and carpentry.
So by rehabbing these homes, it actually gave you an appreciation and love for doing projects more advanced.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask you another question. What was it like working with your wife alongside this whole project?
Yeah, so it was interesting. My wife and I got married actually shortly after I bought one of these houses, and you're living in the wreck, right? So it's kind of interesting, but
which we don't recommend for any couple.
No, it's not easy. But there was this one time. It was very early on in our marriage, and I had some roof repair I need to do. It's just on a gutter, and I thought, I'm not going to call the gutter guy. I can do this. And so it's an old house. It was right outside the window, and there's these box gutters. You can actually stand them. It's a 15-inch wide gutter. And so I go out the window. My wife is sitting inside. She has her arm out, holding onto my belt loop as I'm reaching up and trying to work on this gutter, and she's like, I don't think you should go out there. I'm like, it's fine. I'm 27 years old. I was invincible at that point. And so anyway, I do what I need to do. I come back in, and she is like crying. She was so upset about me being out there and scared that I was going to fall off. And so like from that day forward, we have a no roof rule in our house. And it was like...
And at least it wasn't because the work was so bad. So that's actually good.
Others have cried because of that, yes.
So it was really a test of teamwork.
But it sounds like each other.
It sounds like you really found a good balance between your home life and your work life. I know you're a family man, and
Absolutely.
I know that you do so much work on the side with your with your videos and with your blogging and all the postings you do. I mean, you're truly, you are an inspiration. So we're surrounded by all these fantastic tools from Rigid. What are some of your favorite tools and why?
Sure. I'll tell you my number one favorite tool that hits almost every project I do is the Rigid Oscillating Spindle Sander. I've had that one for a long time. I got it for Christmas maybe 8 years ago.
Wow.
And it has been a great tool because you can shape an edge with it really quickly. You can do fine sanding, you can do rough sanding. And it's just one of those things that you don't think about, well, I need to make a rounded corner, and how can I easily do that? And that spindle sander, you just throw it right on there, and you just can nibble it down to a nice smooth corner really quickly.
And what's your next favorite tool?
You know, I have to say that it's probably the cordless circ saw, the new Gen 5X.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yes.
So I've always had
Love
the
that
corded
tool.
circular saws, and I take those out. So I try not to break down. You know, you get the whole 4x8 sheet of plywood, and you're like, oh, what am I going to do with this? Well, you get that sucker out there, you throw it on the ground, you know, on some supports, and you can chop it up into small pieces, then take it into the shop. So you don't have to mess around with a huge 4x8 sheet. Plus, if I need to do work at my parents' house, I can take the tool. It's cordless, so it's really easy to transport, and you know, it does a great finish cut.
That's actually a great tip for everybody, because when you are transporting like you do all the time, I think it makes it a lot easier when it's a little bit more manageable. And
Absolutely. You can do it right there in the parking lot of the Home Depot and cut it down to size and go on. Even if you could have just a small car, you can use that to break down the goods before you go.
Absolutely. We're going to take a little bit of turn because, you know, I know that you're a very not serious person. So we're going to play a little game called Hammer Time.
Let's do it.
All right, so unlike most sharks, this super scary looking shark swims in schools during the day and hunts alone at night. What is that?
It'd be a hammerhead.
Hammerhead shark, ladies and gentlemen, exactly. What Peter Gabriel song begins, "You have a steam train if you just lay down your tracks"?
Great video. Sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer, exactly. This dreamy actor has played alongstar roles in The Lone Ranger, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and Social Network.
Yeah, I got nothing on that one.
Okay, that is Army Hammer. Okay. Hammer, Army Hammer. This medical condition is a bending deformity of one or both joints of the second, third, fourth, or fifth toe.
Hammer toe.
Exactly, hammer toe. This kind of dulcimer is a percussion instrument with strings typically stretched over a trapezoidal sounding board.
Hammer guitar?
Hammer dulcimer is very close, Brad. Thank you much for being here. I really appreciate it. That's all the time we have today, guys. Please check him out at fixthisbuildthat.com and pretty much every social media outlet there is. Thank you to Brad Rodriguez for joining us. We'll see you next time here at Tooling Around, a constructive conversation.